This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram @LoneWolfPB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. HK Army is proud to sponsor this episode of the Play the Game podcast, and they are excited to announce that the $20 cases of paint will continue into the NXL Chicago event, and this opportunity is open to any teams attending the 2024 NXL Chicago Open. This means that any organization, regardless of sponsorship, can take advantage of shooting Level 5 exclusive HK tournament paintballs for only $20 a case, and the new formula just got done winning back-to-back events for the Texas and Atlantic City NXL events, as Russian Legion was shooting ball-on-ball HK paint to win those events in dominant fashion. You have got to check out this new pink shell yellow fill formula and give it a try for yourself. So what are you waiting for? All you have to do to reserve your paint at the NXL Chicago is email the HK squad at sponsorship@hkarmy.com to get on the list. Do not hesitate because this paint is going to sell out fast. Head on over to your email and send your message to sponsorship@hkarmy.com right now to get on the list. If you want to ensure that your team dominates at the 2024 NXL Chicago, then shoot the best paint with HK Army and email them now at sponsorship@hkarmy.com. This episode of the PTG Show is brought to you by Andrew Lopez Law Professional Corporation, a California injury lawyer, and they are on a mission to get justice for their injury victims. Andrew Lopez Law provides comprehensive services from car accidents to slip and falls and handle a wide range of personal injury cases with expertise. Their recent victories include a $2.6 million jury verdict, a $560,000 settlement against a rideshare company, and with their expert legal representation, you can trust that a dedicated personal injury trial lawyer with years of experience will be fighting for your rights. Andrew Lopez Law is a family-run law firm with free consultations, personalized attention, compassionate support to guide you through every step, a proven track record. They're available 24/7, will work tirelessly to maximize your compensation you deserve, and they work with a no-win, no-fee policy, so you don't pay unless they win your case, which ensures you receive justice without the financial risk. If you're in need of an injury lawyer, then look no further and call Andrew Lopez Law PC at 213-474-1100 for your free consultation. And once again, that number is 213-474-1100. And also follow Andrew Lopez Law on Instagram at Andrew Lopez Law PC. And once again, their Instagram handle is Andrew Lopez Law PC. One last time, that number is 213-474-1100 for Andrew Lopez Law to fight for your injuries. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support with the PTG Show. If you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program and connect with like-minded, hungry paintball players, then head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of the PTG World Discord chat room. And now back to the show.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is episode 270, and we have the one, the only, Raney Stanczak of Tampa Bay Damage. He has been on fire in recent events. They just came off of their big win at the Windy City Major, obviously. And anytime we get Raney on the show, it's just a wealth of knowledge, and he was dropping nothing but bombs. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
All right, everybody, welcome. We have Raney Stanczak of Tampa Bay Damage, fresh off of their big victory and fresh out of little Brandon Cornell's wedding. We just got back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rainman, what's happening?
Oh man, dude, that was a fun drive yesterday. I think I'm still recovering from what was it? Saturday night, Sunday morning. Yeah. My body's it's gonna take a while. The older you get, the harder those nights are.
Yeah.
Looks fun, man.
2-day hangovers are a real thing. 100%.
2 day. Yeah. Try a week.
Yeah.
You guys are a little younger
back
than
on
me.
track.
Just
2
years start hurting.
We realized that this weekend, Raney.
What do you guys have been doing? Come on, field awareness. Come get it together. They're like, you're that many years older than me. I'm like, come on. I was telling him, Tyler, there was a time where I had both Marcelo and Mouse wanting to kill me. Like they were not happy with me. And I think they were 15, 16, and I was like 19. Yeah. And I had one in one hand, like holding him back by his head, and the other by his other head, and they're both get me.
This is when they were much smaller at that point.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was just laughing, and they were just thank God they were just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, the good old aftermath days, man. Legendary stuff.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, and we're all, we've all been under the helm of Hinman, absolute legend. The wedding did look pretty amazing. So talk to me more about that. Brandon got married this weekend. For everybody that doesn't know, Brandon Cornell from Edmonton Impact got married this weekend. Congratulations to you out there. So how was it? It was a great time, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, a bunch of people from the paintball world, a bunch of his friends, Impact, a little bit of everybody. It's nice. They had a beautiful wedding, good location. The weather calmed down a little bit, so it wasn't hot. And yeah, it was a great weekend. I mean, some of these guys went out, I think Friday, Saturday night. I knew better not to go meet up Friday night. I knew I had one night in me, but full speed, and that's that.
Yeah, that was probably wise. We ended up getting up there much later than we thought we were going to. We were supposed to leave Friday morning around like 8 o'clock, had some stuff to take care of here. So didn't end up leaving until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which the wedding was up in San Luis Obispo. So that drive through LA, I mean, it was a mission. We hit traffic pretty much every step of the way. We get to the hotel to check in at like 11 p.m. at night. And we're thinking like, okay, we're just going to go to bed. It's, perfect, whatever. We'll just go to bed. And then we have the full day tomorrow. But as we're checking in, all the Impact guys, Bart, JC, Zach, they're all in the lobby, drinking wine and like having a good time. So like, oh, here, pour a glass of wine. And it's still, I'm thinking like, okay, we're going to do this, check in. And then they're all going out. We're going to bed. So Sahar and I go into the room. And as soon as we go into the room, Sahar's like, oh, I want to go out. I'm like, oh, shit. So we text them really quick. We end up meeting up with everybody, Dalton, all them, everybody was out. It was a good time, but yeah, that extra day definitely makes it more difficult. And then, Saturday was wedding day. And Raney, you're right. We got really lucky with the weather because like earlier in the week, it was showing that it was going to be 100 degrees that Saturday, and like outdoor, you're all dressed up. It's like, oh no, please don't be. But it was beautiful. It was super nice. We had it was kind of overcast. So yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, man, we lucked out on that. But yeah, I know Spica messaged me Friday night, like, hey, let's go have a beer with everyone. And like, I luckily was 20 minutes away from you guys, 15 minutes by the beach. So I at least had that, just like that little barrier that goes, I don't want to drive over there. And I heard they had, once you have one, all the boys are there, you're going to have
oh yeah, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. So if they're at my hotel, I would have been, oh, thank God. Thank God.
Wise beyond your years. And for everybody that doesn't know, listening, how old are you, Raney? So that people know.
I just turned 38.
I was blown away. I thought Raney was like 36. I thought he was just like, a few years older. Jeez, dude.
Yeah. And
but it makes sense. I'm 34. Just turned 34.
Okay. And Tyler, are you younger than him?
I'm 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm the youngest out of all of us. Dalton, Mouse, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, the game.
Tyler, you've been in the pro league for so long that I thought like you were just always, you were in the pro league when you were 9?
Yeah, just right about there, right in there.
Yeah. Came out of the womb, was playing on volleyball.
just blapping. My dad said, "Hey, boy, go play some paintball." I was like, "All right, let's go."
Forget these other divisions.
Yeah. I spent. I did 1 year of rookie, then 1 year novice, and then pro.
So do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember when you met me?
when we were just babies. Yeah,
We were babies.
Way back.
I remember, Marcelo, I don't remember our specific moment, but I specifically can see the moment in my head when I met Tyler. It was 2001, Pan Am Vegas.
Yeah.
Playing with Twisted Kids.
Dude, I have the picture in my closet of me with my my angel. Yeah.
Yup. Shark drop forward.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
You already know.
And I'm looking at this dude, and this dude's sitting there all smiling, like, what's up? He's sitting there against the net, and he's like, what up, Bushwhacker? And I'm like, I'm going to this event. Like, I'm not talking to anyone. Like, this is war. Yeah. This dude's got the biggest smile on his face, just like, Tyler, I didn't know who he was. And I'm like, who does this guy think he is? I'm like, I'm coming after, and we didn't play each other, but I was just like, all right.
Oh, we've been hunting each other since day one. We've been hunting each other. We're the tall, lanky guys in the pro league, man. Yes. It's me and you, so it's been fun.
Yeah. My team actually won that event. We didn't play you. Then we played you guys in Vegas at another time, Vegas, the MPPL that year. And I had just stunted in a game against our pro team, right? I beat Rocky Cagnoni, Marcus Nielsen, all these dudes. I go shoot 5 guys. In my head, I'm like, hot shit. So we're playing you on that exact same field. It's on the Angel field. And you were in the 50. And I was like, I'm going to go get this dude. And I go inside. And this dude straight jumps 7 feet over the air, in the air, shoots me coming into the bunker. And I'm like, what? With this shark drop board. And I'm like, I dropped that. I don't know what. I was hurt so bad. I remember leaving that I let him get me.
The Bushwhackers, they're one of the most legendary names in the game, and so I coming up in NorCal, watched all the OG Bushwhackers and obviously the Iron Man, Bob Long's Iron Man, Rich Telford and all his crew. And Bushwhackers, I knew when I played you guys, it was always going to be a crazy ass game. And it was every time.
Yeah. Good times, dude. Good times.
Dude, shout out to Pan Am. Man.
Pan Am, which became the XSPL. And then that faded and there was no West Coast League. And then now Hinman's got his. But yeah, Pan Am.
Yeah. Yeah. And Hinman's dominating with divisional paintball. We can't wait to get out there soon. Dub C is coming up in just a couple weeks. I know you'll be coaching out there, and we're going to have our booth out there documenting divisional paintball. So I'm sure we'll tap in with you again once we're out there on the West Coast.
100%.
Yeah, Rain Man, what's the situation looking like for the teams you're coaching in WC right now? You guys in the series hunt? What needs to happen at the final event? All that good stuff.
Yeah, we have 2 teams. We got our D3 and our D4. Our D3 team, I've been working with this same group of guys for a while, and we really started having success when we broke the numbers down. Instead of having all these dudes and random people, we just went to our 5 or 6 core, and we brought in Cyrus, who plays on Paintball Fit, who's a phenomenal player. But at the time, he was D2. So we brought him in, and we only have our 5 core guys. So we bring in a veteran. We actually brought another guy in, and Cyrus worked out. And then we started having success. In the beginning of the year, we knew we'd get him for 1 event, and then he's ranked out because he's playing pro. So we won that event. And then he's gone, and I was flirting with the idea of just going Premier, right? And I did, because if we start losing, it's okay. We can blame it on Premier. Hey, we moved up. There's no ego check, and we keep our forward momentum. We keep Cyrus. We keep him part of the crew. But we let Cyrus go. Then the next event, we don't have our snake guy. We don't have another guy. We don't have another guy. So we bring in this dude. We bring in an old player. Bring that guy in. We go 4-0, but it was an ugly 4-0, and then I was like, this is going to be rough this next round, and then we get smashed, and it's out quickly. And then last event, we went undefeated, but we had 3 ties and 1 win, so we didn't even make it on.
Damn.
So we're kind of reinventing the wheel a little bit and going through some growing pains, and fighting those beasts. And then the D4 squad was assembled with just only one of the original dudes, and we picked up a couple young, hungry kids. One of Corey Hall's old buddies that used to play with him, this guy RT, who's real good, and they got a second. We got we lost the first round a 20th, and then we won the last event. So that team is 10, 12 points off the series, and I mean we have that team is we got to RT will probably go up the Premier team. A couple of those dudes are probably could easily go up to Premier team, but I've been I didn't want to rip that team apart and make the D3 team better. I just kind of wanted hey, let's let this thing bake in the oven for a little bit. Let's have one good year, like our squad stack. Let's just ride that out. And then at the end of this year, we can decide who wants to go up. What do we want to do? But yeah, I mean, it's
Totally.
it's a lot of fun. It's like a real time video game. You know, you got your characters, they got special powers, you know, you like throw out your Pokeball, you're like, all right, let's do this, you know, like it's fun, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. And Raney, we have tons of people who tune in and look for advice. What advice would you give to teams out there when they're going through the tough times? Because only one team wins the tournament at each event, you know, for each division. And the bulk of the people are losing and they're going through tough times. They don't know maybe how to pivot or how to make the right decisions or how to keep the energy moving in the right way. So what would you say to teams that are going through that kind of stuff?
You know, it's simple. You just say embrace it, right? But like I was listening to this guy talking about it, and if you just realize like we're in the tough times, like this is it. Like you're not like everybody's going to go through it. It's just how you handle it. So if you just understand like, hey, I'm in the tough times right now. This is how it should feel. This is what tough should feel. If I'm not feeling something tough, then I'm not actually going in the right direction. If it's easy and we're just showing up late and we're like, we don't really care, great. But if you're upset and you're losing and you're frustrated, like just kind of embrace it. Don't like get upset with your teammates. Just embrace that this is tough and we're going to get better when we overcome this. And you'll look back and be like, it really wasn't that bad. But in the moment, you're like, the world's exploding. I don't like you're doing this. And I'm like, guys, it's okay. We've all been here. This is just part of the process.
It is important, though, that the process is in the right direction when you're going through those tough times, right? It's one thing to be going through tough times, not having success, but the process is right. You guys are working hard. You've got the right group. People are dedicated. It's another thing if you're like with a group that, everyone has different goals. Half the team's goals are to win and get better. Half the teams aren't, right? Then you need to figure some stuff out. But I agree. I think too often teams, they have a good process. Things are moving in the right direction, just maybe not as fast as they want. And they give up on it too quickly because it does suck and it is hard to lose. But it's like, if you stick with that long enough, eventually you will get out of it. You will find success. But the process and everything has to be right in the first place. So you have to be able to identify that and make sure you guys are doing the right things to give yourselves a chance to get out of the tough times.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys play every weekend. Like, I mean, I got back from Chicago and they're like, hey, we're going to be there Saturday, Sunday. Can you be there both days? And I'm like, Friday, I told them, was like, I'll tell you guys what to do, but I don't want to be there. Saturday, I'm like, I'm burnt. My every weekend's booked till after even the weekend after World Cup and maybe even longer. So I was like, guys, rather than to give you a half version of myself and take your money, I'm like, here, I'm going to take the day off. I'll come out. I'll be 100% on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, they're out there every single weekend, just shooting a bunch of paint. Yeah. And so like, it's easy to coach guys that want to be there and want to get better. You know, you don't feel like you're investing your time into something that's not going to pay off, you know?
Yeah. And use it as fuel, use everything as fuel. All those, the shit times, the tough times, use it to empower you and become smarter, work harder and move in the right direction. Don't let it take you out.
No, 100%. And that's what I kind of tell them. Like when we go out there, I make sure we maximize the day. Like the field at ASG closes at 2:30 and you'll see people at 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I was like, all right, we're down to 2 cases. Cool. Hopper ball. Cool. Yeah. We're going to do one-on-ones. All right. They're like, oh, the field's down on this one. Suicides. Let's go. So then it's like, it's a whole day thing. We get to the event and all of a sudden they're tired in that game before the finals, the semifinals. And I'm like, if you're tired, those dudes are twice as tired because I'm telling you, we've been playing way more paintball than 95% of the people out there. So like,
those have always been the rules. That's the rules. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, that's why we were so successful. I mean, I was telling them like Hinman used to drop a pallet of paint or skid of paint and be like, we're not leaving till this is gone every weekend. Not like every other weekend. It was literally it's Super Bowl weekend. Nope, no matter. This weekend, doesn't matter. We're here. That's it. Like we lived and breathed it for, I can't even forever. How many years, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a lot of paintball. It's a lot of paintball. I know you shared the same thing, Raney. I'm sure Tyler, you as well, but with any of the players or teams that I coach, the one thing that I say every time is we can't coach effort, right? That's not something that I'm even interested in doing. I don't have interest in motivating you to want to get better. I can motivate in different ways, but the players have to come with that already inside of them. And once that happens, like once you have players that are dedicated like that and really do want to play every weekend, they want to do this stuff, you know, in between weekends, they want to do the stuff in the gym. Perfect. Now we have like a canvas that we could really work with. But outside of that, like some players, they would rather do other stuff. And those are the players that aren't going to have a ton of success. And like, you're probably seeing it now that you've been working with your divisional team, but with Wrecking Crew or the Misfits, there were tons of players that were really good, but you kind of like through the years, and it happened on Aftermath too. Like you weed some of them out, you know, and a lot of the players that were there at the very beginning just aren't there any longer because, you know, it requires a different level of dedication to actually reach the success that, you know, the organization wants to reach. Yeah, but like, that's the one thing you can't coach. I can't coach your effort, you know?
No, the only thing I can coach is like, yeah, they're going to be there every weekend, but sometimes like, yeah, we're going to be there at 8:30. And there's like a while for the first year or two. I'm like, I'm there, you know, I'm going to be there at 8:15, 8 o'clock at the parking lot, wherever it is. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, where are you? Oh, you know, I had to do this and and I'm like, I'm getting upset. And then I'm like, God, there was one weekend where I had to like
ring of fire.
I was like, yeah. So I called up. I was like, man, what do I do? I'm sitting, like, I literally drove to the field this one weekend. It wasn't even the coach. And this was after Vegas this year. We did horrible. So I've been driving the field every weekend. I drive there on a Saturday or Sunday to go play, Saturday or Sunday. And like, I forgot to plate the back of my Lux. I'm like, whatever. I have another gun, but I want to use this Lux. I forgot a pack, whatever. I'll do drills. It's raining. I don't care. But then all the fields were taken. Aftermath had a field, 2 fields were rented, and there's 1 walk-on field. So I couldn't even play. And then I had to hear about things that happened bad when my team played Vegas from one of the parents. And I literally left the field. I drove all the way to ASG, and I drove all the way back. And I'm like fuming. Like, I'm like, I don't know what, but something's changing. I don't know what's changing, but something's changing. And then I like thought about it, and I was like, oh, Paxton. I called Paxton up. Paxton, what was on the wheel of death? What was the ring? What was the rules? And he like breaks it down. So I called the owner of the team and I was like, tomorrow, if you're not there, this is what's happening. I'm like, I on 30, 40 minutes, this was like a one-way conversation on the phone. He's like, got it. Totally cool. I put it in the chat. I was like, don't be late. Or I put a little emoji, a ring, and fire. Next day, the guy I was on the phone, owner, he was late. And I'm like, no. By a minute. He was 1 minute late. And I was standing at the front gate with my phone going, see that? You're late, dog. You're late. Line up.
Raney,
you're getting shot.
Raney, can you explain why it's so important, even just being a minute late, what that does and why we, because I'm the same way. When I coach my teams, it's if we set a time, it's important to be there at that time. But can you explain why it's so important to you and you want to dish out those kind of punishments?
It's accountability, right? Like in paintball, I try to explain to my guys, like the skill set between me and them isn't really this like astronomical amount, but like our mental game or our ability to come in the pit and then I can go, Tyler, I messed up. I should have looked right and I looked left and I didn't even tell you the guy looked that way. Now, like, there's no like, well, it hurt my ego. It's just over. The conversation's over. I messed up. Tyler's like, cool. I know he messed up. Now we only have 2 minutes or how much time we can move on beyond that. So I'm trying to teach them accountability. Cool. If we want to be there at 9, you set the time. But if you tell me we're going to be there at 8:30 and you're there at 8:33, then you're not respecting my time. You're not, you think you're better than the process. You think you're better than the team. And maybe that's not the way it is in your head, but that's the way people may interpret it. Right. So now Tyler's late. And guess what? Next week, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'll be a little late. And now I'm late. And Marcelo's like, man, these dudes are late. Now he's upset. At both of us. And we're like, why are you upset? Why aren't you having fun? And it's like, it just is not productive. So
it starts from that
bingo, dude.
Little seed. Yeah.
Yes. And I remember like now it's like almost some of the guys are getting to the point where it's like, I'm here first. They're taking a picture and loading it in the chat. I'm here first. And that's how we used to be on Aftermath. Yeah. It would be like, who pulled up first? And like, you know, you see Winston or you see you or Ray. And we're like, it was like a game. It was a game within the game of who got there first. Just to have that little bit. I want it more than you do. No, I'll be there earlier tomorrow. You know, and
we still have that. Like anytime we have off weekends and we get the boys together, it's like, whoever's there first brags about being there first, even on like random off-season weekends where it's like you, me, Mouse, Brandon, we go, that's just, it is what it is. Again, like the formula has been there for a long time. I don't think we invented it. It's just there's other really successful athletes and business people that, follow a certain type of regiment and routine and have, these processes. And so why not do what they do? And it's worked for us pretty well for a long time. So
and it's crazy too, because like when people go, oh man, you got to wake up early. Like I hated waking up early as a kid. I hated it, right? But then like with paintball, I didn't even understand that I was like doing hard work and like being disciplined. I was just like, I'm going to the paintball field. I'm going to the paintball field. It's 6 a.m. Don't need to be till 8. Whatever. I'm awake. But now you look back on it and you just like, it conditioned you to be like, you're waking up Saturdays, Sundays, and you'd be sleeping in. And now it's like, it just makes things easier, And
yeah,
I like once people understand it's not like work. If you enjoy it, then it's not waking. It's not like I have to wake up. I get to wake up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Rain. And hey, we got to say congratulations to you about last event, Chicago. Tampa Bay Damage takes the W. You guys looked really strong out there, played great team paintball. So I kind of want to dive into the event for you, how it felt. Obviously, it was a great event. You guys took the win, but kind of walk us through Chicago with Damage and how everything went for you guys. And I know we just had Agent Smith on and he kind of broke it down too, but want to get your perspective.
Yeah, no, it was
he played so good.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I was actually thinking about this after the wedding. I'm like, people give you compliments sometimes, and it's like, I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't ever say, I like brush it off, and I'm like, man, that's just kind of dick move. But like, sometimes it's hard to take a compliment,
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. Everything was going well. It just like, even at practice, like we had some sponsor changes, and then that kind of makes you like, I'm on the East Coast, they're on the West Coast, and I'm like hearing all these things, but I'm not like, directly involved. And I'm like, I wasn't worried we weren't going to have a team, but, I always sometimes go to the extreme. And I was like, oh man, we have a team, what's going on? Oh man. So then like you go to that first practice, you're like super happy to be there because you don't realize what you have till you don't have it. So when you have those thoughts, at least, then it's like at the end of the weekend, I'm like, let's get a picture. And they're like, what do you mean, let's get a picture? I'm like, let's get a picture together. Like, what are you done next year? I'm like, no. Let's just make sure we capture this moment so we can, appreciate it. Because you look in your phone and you see these old pictures from, 5 years ago that maybe at the time you're like, look at us. But like, it's not that big of a deal. But 5 years now, when you look back, it's like, that's actually a long time ago. We were like, you're glad you have that picture. So it's like, take it now so you have it and appreciate it. Like, you don't know you're in the moment till you're out of the moment. And so like right now, we're all in the moment. We just don't know it. And it's until you have that perspective. And I think you get it older as you get, you're like, if you can place yourself in the future, you're like, this is the moment. Us on this will be the moment we look back and you're like, awesome, So actually speaking of pictures, let's make sure we get one real quick.
Let's go for the gram.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that event, everything was flowing. Like I got my new hate gun, and that thing is like ball on ball. I remember before the event going to Joy, is like, this is going to be a good event. Like I'm not missing a lot of shots. And at practice, Joey really, he did something. I'm not going to say what, but he had us play in a certain way that was had a great impact on how we communicated. And it's something that I've been making the team I coach do every single weekend. Right. And it's really helped us with our communication, because at the last event before this, Atlantic City, we lost 2-on-1s. Damage doesn't lose 2-on-1s. Those guys don't lose 2-on-1s.
Yeah.
Like, J-Rab's a phenomenal player, right? But nobody should lose a 2-on-1 and think they did something correct. Like if you lose a 2-on-1 in the pro division, you made mistakes. Now,
absolutely,
he has to be a beast for him to win a 2-on-1. But for him to win the 2-on-1, it's like, I engaged by myself, he engaged by himself. So we really focused on communication before the event. So when we got to it, it was just like, I think was our biggest success. Like, don't get me wrong, Keith Brown and Jacob Edwards, like they feasted. And I explained this to people. They're like, because the meta was get out of the home. And I even when I coach this field, like, get out of the home. Like, what do you mean? You hit in the home? I'm like, no. It's like, I hid in the home because I had Keith and Jacob alive. And as long as I told them that 50 was hot or this 50 is hot, they weren't going to get shot by the opposite 50, or they would just go shoot that dude. But I was like, get out of the home. But the key thing was we were able to limit the amount of kills people got out of those 50s, because those 50s were just almost given, you know? And so everyone was just getting the 50s and just like killing everyone. So that like was the meta. So like there was a field like this a long time ago where there was a home that was horrible, but everybody would get to the 50s and wrap.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, why don't I just sit here and just wait, because no one's in the home now, and then I'll just shoot the guy wrapping, like, you know, like that. So there's a little bit of that. And
people were getting eaten up moving out of that home if they would try to go, you know, Dorito way or Snake way.
They give up a body, right?
Yeah.
And unless you were Kirill or A-Rod or like who was it on Infamous? God, he just played with you on Heat.
Rodarte.
He had a good event up the middle, right?
Yeah.
So you could, if you played the middle, it was good luck, Marcelo. Good luck, Tyler. I'm going in there. I'm not saying anything to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to, you know, kill a bunch of people, because I mean you can't lock off a side, because if you try to lock off the Snake, the guy gets in the Dorito, blasts you.
But yeah.
You lock off the Dorito, guy gets in the Snake. So you're like on a ticking time clock where if you got to kill, you're better off to play the offense. So luckily that whole event, we were never down more than 1 point. I think we were down to you guys, Tyler, at 1 point. We were down to Uprising on Sunday, 1 point, and we were down X Factor 1 point. But we never had to be down an instrumental amount of points and have to like really attack. We were always somewhat in control of all those games.
Yeah.
So that, and I think that, you know, obviously that fits our style. So it made it pretty easy for us to, you know, come back 1 point's easy. You can still play your style. When you're down 3 or 4, you're full set mode, you know?
Yep. Yeah. That Snake was just, you expected them to be on your side every point. I was like, okay, if I don't see my player at that point or further, they're on my side. Just, you know, be ready. And that was what you were talking about, is not giving up those easy ones. When say they do get into your side of the Snake, they're not getting the free one across field on the Dorito and then getting a 2-piece out of it. You know, they're having to really fight, and then maybe they trade out, and now, you know, that kind of washes it. But if you played that super tight on the Dorito side, you wouldn't give them that free one that they're looking for on that Snake side.
Yeah, they're like exposing themselves. Like when Axel got in the Snake 1 point, he just kept shooting at me, right? He's on our side. He's like, there's a guy in the home. Brrr. Now that's just like saying, I'm inside, I'm inside, I'm inside, I'm still inside. And that's all Keith needs. He just needs that audio cue for a half second, and then gone. Now he's off the field, right? Whereas if I die, now he turns, now he trades he goes bunkers Keith's off the field, and now we're in a 3-on-4. But instead of being on a 3-on-4, we're in a 5-on-4 now. So like sometimes it was like in the old school 10-man days, like Paxton would be like, Raney, run up to the wall, come over the top, let everybody know you're there, and then tuck underneath this thing, like get really tight and make this dude come around over the top, and we'll blast them. So, you know, you're 17, 16 laying there, you go, get down, kid. You hear Paxton screaming at you, and you're like laying there tight, looking at him, and then you hear the shots, and the guy's overextending. Because you have blind faith in your guy, he doesn't shoot you. And now you're in the wall with nobody there.
You did this move in World Cup, like 2017 against us in the finals when they had the W. You literally did this move, and which is funny to hear that you got it from Paxton in like 10-man days, because it was such an awkward, Raney thing to do. But I remember it worked. You went to the wall, and you came up over the top, identified you were there, and then you like laid underneath it. Do you remember that? Literally
it wasn't Cup, but it was that year. I tried to bait Tyler. Tyler's like, nah, I'm not falling for this trap.
Bro, I swear that was World Cup. It was in the finals.
No, the 17 finals I didn't play a lot. I know what event you're talking about. I tried to do it to Tyler. He didn't bite. I waited for like 20, 30 seconds. And then I was like, you know, he's like, I'm out of the game. And then I just went through and I just traded with Tyler. The funny thing is I ended up somebody did that move to me in the semis. I think the next match, I hear a wall, I go through, I'm like, oh no, there's nobody here. And then I immediately pull up, and the dude's underneath the wall, because, you know, it's blown out on the bottom. And I'm like getting shot in the back, and I'm like, I don't even look back, and I already know it. And it's like, he did it to you. And I'm like, yeah, respect. He got me. That's my fault for showing him. My fault.
That's so funny though to learn that you got that from Paxson, from like a 10-man thing. But there's like so many great tricks, and we talk about this on the show a lot, of like, you know, playing in the woods and playing hyperball, playing 10-mans, that I think our generation has an advantage because we did grow up playing so many different styles, you know, whereas kids now, you have kids that are coming up through the ranks that they've only ever played this version of X ball. That's it. They haven't even been in the woods. They haven't even been on a hyperball field, you know? And so I think there's something to that, playing different types of paintball. There's just kind of opens up the creativity a little bit, you know, and you think about the game a little differently.
No, 100%. There was every time I would go play these 10-mans, I'm pretty sure, did we play a 7-man, Tyler, in the woods together?
Oh, with
We played
it would have
10
been.
mans.
It was
We
10
played
man.
10
Yeah.
mans. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime we'd go play those events, I would come back and play a much better game in X ball, because like in the woods, you got to like crawl through, you know, like a trench and a ravine and like just do all this work to get a guy. And X ball, you're like, oh wait, he's there 10 feet away. I could just like run across the field and stab him. So like it gives you a different perspective on the game, right? And I explained to some of these high level pros that I played with that are like, maybe they're not like the top 5 pro, but they're a 50, right? And they're struggling with communication. I was like, why don't you grab a pump gun and go out and play walk-ons? And because you're going to struggle, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. You're going to have, yo man, what's your name? Jimmy, shoot there. Because you're battling the pump. People out there with their gun, and just like, you're not going to put them in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely a lost art, you know, like being able to go in the woods and like maneuver around that field is like, it's essentially like X ball is the condensed version of that, and a lot simpler. So when you go in the woods, it's more complex, but it is that same style. It's just a little bit harder to solve that Rubik's Cube, right? But if you can solve it in the woods, I promise you can solve it on the air ball.
For sure.
And so going out there is like, that's like the high level course to get you really good at this format, right? Like it helps develop a lot of different parts of your game that you maybe wouldn't look at.
Yep. I love the way you said it's condensed. It's way tighter in there, but it's if you regress a little bit and go back in time into the earlier formats of the game, you get the bigger picture, and then you can condense it back once you step into the X ball format. I love the way you put that. Yeah,
I mean, there's look, this one they had the wall, and I'd go play those, and I'd come back, and I'm like, dude, he's just on the other side, and I would just go through, and I'm like, last every single time. Like I'm like, it's so much easier. You know, the woods, you got to work.
Oh
yeah, I remember the event we were playing. We played a game in pure dark, Tyler.
Oh, it was
Maryland, with cicadas, all the birds chirping.
The cicadas.
And we're running through the woods, and I'm like, we walked it. We don't know if there's a spear waiting on the other side to get us. And like we were straight playing in pitch dark on Sunday night, and it was like our flights weren't until I don't know the next day, but like the game didn't play till 7:30, 7 o'clock. Something like it was crazy. Completely dark. It was lawless.
It was lawless. It was insane in there. But those are the like. Go out and play some hyperball. Go play some 10v10s. Go play a big game. You know, obviously we play professional paintball, and we're really good at what we do. We love our craft, but it didn't start that way. For me, it started going and playing big games and playing in the woods and playing hyperball. That was like what hooked it. I saw airball later and got involved in that because it was the condensed form like you're talking about. But when you get that unique perspective like you're talking about, I feel like it really does have a well-rounding effect on the overall outlook of the game and how to approach it and make the right moves. And like you're talking about, Raney, communication. It is so much more difficult to communicate across these large fields. So you have to take it up a whole nother notch to make sure that the information's relaying and getting across.
Even on the hyperball, when it's that much louder, right? Like you don't.
Yeah.
Airball
hitting the bunker.
Yeah, airball. Like I can't hear it. I'm like, it's not that bad. I'm like, he's actually telling you where he's at with how the way your bunker's being hit. So like with the guys I coach, there's a hyperball field in the back ASG most of the weekend. Sometimes they take it down for the events. But at the end of the weekend, that's where we go play our 1-on-1s, our 2-on-2s, our 3-on-3s, our hopper balls. I'm like, let's go play. Let's get a little taste of that.
Creative.
And you understand how much harder it is to hear it on that field. And then we come back here, it's like, oh, this is easier. You know, I think it's definitely a lost art, and people need to, you know, go play in the woods, go play on hyperball, and that really will elevate their game.
Agreed, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's something about just having to be so descriptive when you're communicating. You can't just say, the back left or the snake one, like you have to be super descriptive. 30 yards to the left in that tree, it kind of looks like an L. That there's like a, you could see there's a bird over there.
You're like, wait, I'm going to shoot it here, right here. This one, the left 40, the left 30. And so like my guys were out there. Some of the younger kids couldn't use words because we didn't, we're not naming the field.
Right.
And then some of the older guys were like, the left 40, left 20, left 30. Like, what does that mean? I'm like, football field, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, our side. They're like,
okay. All right. I see what's going on here.
I'm like, you don't have to know all the names. Sometimes you like in the middle of a game, and I've seen you do it, Tyler. You play on a bunch of different teams. Sometimes like in the panic of things, it's like, is it this specific call? You're like, our side, he's right there, man. He's in front of you.
For sure.
And it's like the communication comes a lot crispier when you hear that than like going down the playlist. Bluetooth too,
echo.
Yeah. Like what's echo mean? And then all of a sudden,
he's getting whapped. No, he's right there on the other side of you.
Yeah.
The sense of urgency in the voice too. Definitely helps your teammates know how important something is.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ryan Brand one time gave me a hard time. He's like, why are you saying our shit? And I was like, Ryan, at practice, they rarely get to our side of the field. So I don't ever get to use that name call, whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, Moscow or something.
Yeah.
But I was like, I guarantee it when I said he's in our shit over there, Billy knew exactly what it was. And I was like, I knew what it was. I'm like, yes, see, you could hear it in my voice and he heard that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's in the voice, It's in the voice. It changes everything. You're not just like screaming, snake one, and it's our side. Our side. Yeah.
It's coming.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, that's funny. All right. So I want to dive back into Damage and talk about, team culture with the squad. What is Damage's culture if you had to describe the squad's like essence, the culture of the team?
I mean, dude, they're a very humble group, right? Like they're hardworking, humble guys. Like, maybe every once in a while you see on the main stage, you see Keith like, yelling because he's excited. But it's not that he's like, chirping to chirp. He's just these dudes are just and
he's
like
excited.
For how many years like Brian Smith and Holiday and Jason, all these dudes have been putting time in. Like they could have the biggest egos in the game, but they don't. Right? They still respect the game. They love the game. They come out. They put in a lot of time. They show up early. They stay late. Brian Smith still at the end of the weekend, going out there, practicing a shot, working this, like how he would when he's probably young, right?
Yeah.
Putting in those extra moments to really understand a field rather than just be like, all right, I got this. I hear pros sometimes say, yeah, I've done it. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, you do, but you got to like take that blueprint and keep doing it every single event, right? And I think there's this like mindset when you hear people go, I want to go pro. Those are the same people that when they go pro and they win an event, like, all right, I've done it. I'm here. I've made it. No, dude, you got to keep doing it. And like, I used to not, I couldn't understand when I'd see baseball stats, and I'd look at these stats and I was like, why did this guy have a fall off year? Like, why aren't they were so good and they're this year? Because they stopped doing the little things. They probably stopped taking care of themselves. They probably let it go to their head. They had a good year. They had third in MVP voting. So now they're, maybe they're going out a little more. Or maybe they're not taking care of their body. And now their body gets hurt, and it's like to continuously do this over time for those dudes like Holiday, he's been hurt and he could have easily walked away from the game, right? But he's just like been trying to get back into the game and whatever he has to do to fix his back. And now he was back he's been slowly getting back. He played a lot at practice. He played a little bit at the event. And to have him back, like, dude, like he's quiet, but dude, he's a funny man. He's a character.
He is.
So,
he's the best.
Yeah. We had him on the show a while ago. He's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're missing something. Like I was like, when he was back and he's like, he said something, he cooked me. I can't remember what he said, but he cooked me. I just couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh man, I'm glad you're back, dude. I miss you.
You guys had you had Pops in the mix too out there in Chicago. It was great to see Pops out there.
That's why you guys won, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Pops was out there. Damn, Pops, dude, the OG.
Pops actually came to Arizona and took my kids and me and the wife to Monster Jam. He works on the Monster Jam trucks, and he was like, "Yeah, Tyler, come on over." He's one of the best guys I've ever met in my life. Shout out to Pops.
Yeah, him and his kids, they're good human beings. Yeah. And so now he's pitting for all those monsters trucks.
Dude, it's crazy. My boys were like over the moon to be able to see that show, and he got us. We walked down this ramp, and they have the Arizona Cardinals grass outside, and they roll it into the stadium for game time, and then they roll it out when they do different events. So we got to like go through the backstage area and see the grass. They have somebody who works on it every single day. They mow it every day. He's out there with a magnifying glass, like looking at each blade, making sure, combing it, making sure everything's all good out there. And then we got to see them just absolutely annihilate the trucks. And I know I'm sitting there watching them just destroy everything. And I'm like, damn, Pops is about to be busy up in here.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish we could play on grass like that.
Oh, that's all I could think about. Yeah.
We mean, we'd ruin it, but it'd be fun.
It changes how I play. I mean, like when terrain is good, that's why honestly I got to give the NXL credit. I think the grass has been pretty, like Chicago is always amazing. I think the grass has been pretty good. Like in comparison to what we practice on, which is often turf that's not very great in my opinion. Like it's not easy to slide on. It's kind of rough. You leave these practice weekends like pretty banged up. It changes how I play entirely. Again, like having, a few injuries in my career, especially knee injuries, like just not trying to slide on sticky shit, like it just doesn't sound good. So you like, don't make certain moves in practice. You don't experiment with certain things. I just wish, my goodness, we could always play on. Do you remember that? I think you were there, Raney, Barcelona, that soccer field. I think 2018 or 19, that grass, it was like so flat and so nice.
Yeah.
16. Jesus, time's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, the best, it was soccer turf. It wasn't grass.
Yeah.
It was soccer, highest grade turf. And we were playing on, like, they're never having us back here. This is way too nice for us. And it was a beautiful field. Like, even the facility we stayed at this like compound, like hotel thing. And they had all these bungalows. They had like river pools going on. They had a big mesh hall. They had a massage place on the compound. Like, dude, this place was like, that was one of my favorite tournaments. That place was beautiful.
Yeah. The Millennium turf used to be really good too. The turf that they brought to every event, it didn't matter if it was pouring rain. It didn't matter what the conditions were. It wasn't slippery. You had good traction and it was like really soft. You could slide well. That stuff was amazing.
I think it helps us. Underneath. Yeah, I think it helps us playing at grass at Legacy. Because then, like, I think turf obviously plays faster, right? So, like, you're able to just kind of, like, power down the snake. It's a little bit – you can't dig in as much sometimes in the turf, right? Like, you can't push into the bunker and hide because maybe it's moving it or how they stake it in. But in grass, you can really bury in there. So, I think you get a better representation of maybe how the field's going to play at the event.
Mm-hmm.
I think
because sometimes on grass, like, you'll have a bunker like – this last one, actually, the back center, where if there's like the tiniest little dip from the grass behind it, you can really get underneath that thing. But on turf, like that's just not even an option. So you start kind of, leaning into it and you're still getting shot in the sides from both sides. But then at the event, you could hide in that thing,
Yeah, you're leaning into it at turf and it's getting worse. And now they're shooting you underneath there. You're like, you're like trying not to touch it. You know? So you're like, I'm getting out of this spot. This spot's horrible. Yeah. And then you get to the event and you're like, well, now I can dig in. It's a fortress. This isn't so bad,
Yeah, these are funny nuances that about our game that, again, like the more that we do it, you kind of know when you go into practice, like, okay, this is playing like this here. But if this is just a little bit different there, then that shot might not be there. So as soon as we get to the field, we got to look for all these things. It's like the first thing I do when we, get to the pro field is I go and look at all the different like little shots that I thought were going to be there, and the ones that I was like, if anything's off just a little bit, I can shoot this or can't. Those are like the first and divisional players, what fields you're going to be on. Like, this is what you guys need to be doing as well. Go look at all those little details. Don't go into practice and say, this shot is here 100% of the time, so it's going to work. And then get to the event and you're not shooting that person and you don't really know why. If you haven't like double checked your work, when you get to the event, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
And even some of the sides are different. Like we went to that last event, the Doritos side, that for us at Legacy, we could see more of the Dorito run. I go to the event, I look there, I'm like, okay, so they're basically going to be up the Doritos. I can't see anything, unless we played off the back of it. And then on the snake side, if you were playing left-handed, you couldn't, the snake gap wasn't as big. But if you played right-handed off the back of the home, like right off the gate, you had more of the snake gap. So when I was like right-handed, I was like, all right, I can play the back shot and shoot it. With left-handed, don't do it. So yeah, there's definitely like little things you got to pick up walking the fields. And I think when you walk a field in the woods, you go out to walk the airball field and you're like, dude, this is easy. Go walk
for sure.
Go walk a field in the woods. I'll take it.
For sure.
Even when you do walk it, you still don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Then the bunkers are moving, people are putting twigs here, the bushes are getting blown apart. So game 1 is different from the finals games, Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many nuances out there on the field. That's why the measure twice, cut once. You got to make sure you know what you're doing out there, and have everything dialed in when you go to play your event, play your tournament, know exactly what your shots are. We're actually going to see you guys out at Legacy prior to World Cup. We're coming out there to practice Damage and it's going to be and Wrecking Crew. That's right.
There's a 4th team, Damage. All right, so it's us, Heat, Infamous, Wrecking Crew.
There we go. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Wrecking Crew's good. That was the other thing too, is like we were watching them play before the finals, and it's like, oh, you guys in the finals? Hey, we're in the finals. Oh, So man, they got a really good team. They got something special going on over there.
Yeah,
it's fun to play against them.
And it's a good group too, right? It's all the kids are, again, they're eager to get better. They're totally bought into the process. They have all the tools, and I think they all complement each other really well. You got players that have owned whatever role they have on that team, and not starts from Rob, the owner. He's so fucking passionate. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah, Rob.
Big Rob is like one of the most, he's a character 100%, but like, that team doesn't function without him. The stuff that he does, like in the group, he's just absolutely on it, and it's been really awesome to see them have that success. And a lot of it is being able to practice you guys before events this season. That's helped tremendously, because it got to the point to where, they're the best team in their area. So like if you're only going to be practicing down, which makes it really difficult, to, at least when you're at that level, right? Like Damage's philosophy of not playing pro teams is different, in my opinion, than, a semi-pro team that says, you know what, we'll play D2 teams, because they still have so much to learn about the game, right? Where you guys can like practice a semi-pro team and you're working on specific stuff, you know what to look for. You can look at a field and say, okay, we haven't been like stung by that yet, but that's probably going to be a thing. And then you could go over to Wrecking Crew and say, hey, try to, push this side a little bit to see how we respond. I think it's important for divisional teams to play up as much as possible, but yeah, they've been really fun to watch. And it's been cool in the past. Kind of same thing, Raney, is like, we'll be playing in the finals and they'll be going to the finals. And then, you both get the win, you see them on stage, and like sharing that moment. Like you guys are kind of seeing that with them right now, especially because they've been your sparring partner. But yeah, it's definitely really cool. And a lot of those kids are going to have some, really bright future. I just hope if they do get the pro spot, hopefully they can find a way to keep it together and
Yeah.
It's always the tough part. It's always the tough part.
We were talking about that at the wedding, saying, I was like, look, man, like we always wish we could have kept what we had together. Right now we're like, in the future, we're the old dudes, the older guys. I wouldn't say old, but older.
We're getting there.
So like that they're in it, then they don't realize that they're in the moment. So it's like, don't take the shiny toy because somebody offers it to you. Like milk that experience. Stay together, and like for as long as you possibly can. Nothing's gonna last forever. Everybody knows that, but really don't sell it short until you get to experience it. Because I mean, they got a good team. They got so many young dudes, and they got some veterans, some older guys, and they got a good squad. And, that's how we got better, was we always played up to everyone. We played against Dynasty for Aftermath, but we sparred Dynasty every weekend.
Yeah. That's why, like, when people talk about like, exactly. When people talk about like Aftermath success, I'm like, we were playing D3 against Dynasty that was our practice partner. So we would show up to events and it was like, this is a cakewalk. Like so
it's
easy,
over.
And then we bump up to D1 and like that felt easy, it's like, and this was when Dynasty was at the height. They were winning everything, so they would beat up on us. But you learn that's the best way to learn. You learn fast, you learn quick how like, okay, that was a mistake. You can't show a little too much of this. You can't show a little too much of that. Like the game happens fast.
and if you're not playing up, you play down, then it's like you're creating bad habits. You're like, oh, I got away with this. This is a bad move. I made this. I never got shot going to the corner. And now you go to the event and you're not making the corner. Like, well, I only ran to the corner.
Right.
And we play wrecking crew, those dudes they're going snake when we tell them to. They're playing the pocket. They're running the middle. They're learning everything they need to learn about the layout. So when they get to the tournament, nothing's new. Everything they've been tested on, and they have an answer for every problem that faces them. Mm-hmm. And man, they look good out there, because I kind of like to go watch some of those divisional games before the finals, right?
Yeah.
They're sharp.
They're a very cerebral team too. So like I'll go and when we have our practice weekends, one of the players, Jacko, he like invented this game. I'm not going to I don't want to give up too many of the details, because I know he's actually trying to like turn it into an actual game and an app and stuff. But he invented this game that's basically based around probabilities of the field, and so it's like a board game, where you can you play each other, and it's like you roll dice, and then so there's a narrator that like gives you probabilities of like, okay, you want to go to snake on the break. If you roll a 8 or above, you make it, so like they are just so all in on trying to get better. And when the layout drops, like they obsess over it, and we're having conversations of like, okay, if this, then that, what about this? Can you make, like, they are more obsessed than almost any, group that I've ever seen. And I don't think it's a surprise that they've been able to have success, through the divisions. Like, that's what it takes, that type of obsession, that type of care into winning.
That's awesome. I like that sound of that game. Sounds like you can gamble on it.
You can, dude. The game is so much fun. Like when we came out and practiced Damage with the USA guys, you weren't there, Raney. Only a couple of the guys came out from Damage. We spent hours playing that game at night. Like, I was having a blast. And it was actually really cool for me, because I ended up being the narrator, and the narrator is the one who gives like the probabilities. And so it was actually a really great teaching moment too, because they would say, okay, we're going to put this person in and make this move. What are the probabilities? And I'm like, ooh, that's actually a low percentage thing. And like, what are you talking about? Like, that's an easy move. I'm like, yeah, but they're also set up here. Like, I don't know, dude. I think like you got to roll a 1 or a 2, like, and then they're all pissed, and I'm like, no, here's why. So it's like a great opportunity to also coach and like teach, you know what I mean?
Are they using a 20-sided die?
It's 2 dice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 dice. So
have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
So I'm a nerd. I play some nerd games. So they had a baseball game where you would have your guy, and it would be like you'd roll the die first to see which stats you'd use, the pitcher or the hitters. And it's usually the pitcher had the advantage. And then if you got to the hitter, it'd be like 1 through 4 is a strikeout, 5 through 6 is a flyout, whatever. And then it'd be like, this is Sammy Sosa. All right, 14 through 20 is a home run. Right. Okay. He had like maybe one's a triple, one's a double. If you were the pitcher, like maybe only 20 is a home run and like 19's a triple. And then you got no doubles. Like this. Yeah. Doubles. So you roll these, you go to like a shop, you bring your deck of cards, and each guy had like a point system. So you couldn't have too many points, and you sit there and you nerd out and roll the dice.
Dude, that's awesome. Great. That's like kind of what this is. That's it. Yeah. This is like a version of that. Yeah. I mean, again, we played for hours. I had so much fun,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Baseball season's popping off right now too.
Let's go Pods.
Oh my God, dude. Fernando, 2 homers. Two homers last night, baby. Dude, did you see Profar's? I've been watching videos.
It's been going insane.
I really don't know. So Padres came out. Fernando hits a solo shot first inning. And then Mookie Betts for the Dodgers, he hits one that would have been a home run. And Profar goes up, grabs the ball, turns around, looks at the crowd like the ball went in there, and just kind of stands there. Mookie's jogging around the bases like, I got this. I saw this video from the fans' perspective. Everyone's cheering. Yeah. And then, surprise, I got the ball. You didn't get a home run. And it shows Mookie in the pit, in the dugout, and he's just
froze.
He went up here, and then Profar put him down here. And it was, dude. And like even the fan and the Dodger fan was like, all right, that was pretty sick. I got to give you respect. But then it got out of hand. They threw something at him. But yeah, man, baseball's popping off. So Padres are 1-1. I mean, they look good, and they have
10-2 is insane.
Yep, and everybody's hitting. They have good pitching. They just lost one guy, but they still have so many good pitchers, and they've dealt with not having that pitcher almost for like the last, 3 months of the season. And then we have bullpens, we got closers, but sometimes I always worry. It's like in poker, they're just saying you have too many outs. Too many things can help you. But yeah, the Padres look good, and I got a 6 sweat going with the Royals. So the Royals they had 100 losses. So there's 162 games. They had 100 losses last year. They're the second team in baseball history, and now they take more teams to the playoffs, so that could play a factor. But the second team to go from 100 losses one year to making the playoffs. Okay.
Damn.
I bet them to win the division, which at one point they were tied about a month ago, and then they lost 7 in a row. I bet them to win the division. I got ridiculous odds. I bet them to make it to the World Series, and I bet them to win the World Series. And I'm talking like 200 to 1 to win it, 50 to 1 to win the division. I basically saw that they signed 2 pitchers from the Padres from last year, 2 good guys. They have another guy from Texas they picked up, and they had their ace. So they have pitching is everything in baseball. So they had 4 good pitchers. They picked up a couple free agents. They signed this guy, signed that guy, short contracts. They signed guys because they're trying to actually get a new stadium. In order to get a new stadium, they got to be competitive. And maybe the Chiefs dominating had to factor into it. So I was like, they're going to win. They're going to win. This is it. So I put like a little bit of money online. Like I wake up the next day and my site went from 16 to 1 to 7 to 1. I was like, no. I missed out on the odds. I was like, no. I was Wednesday to Thursday and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I want to bet. So I'm like, California's weird. So I'm trying to find all the sites to bet on. And like the best odds I could find was 16 to 1, but I can't even bet on it. And I'm like, dude, that's it. I was supposed to go snowboarding that weekend. Yeah. I drove to Vegas the next day, literally booked a hotel, drove straight to Vegas. I just happened to stay at the Golden Nugget. The Golden Nugget just happened. Odds. They had 50 to 1 odds to win the division.
No
I'm like,
way.
What? So I walk up. I'm like, let me get 200 on it. And then they were 50 to 1 to make the World Series. Let me get 200 on that. And then to win the World Series, they're 101. I'm like, let me get 100 on that. So I'm like, all right, cool. Place the bets, 500 worth. I'm like, let's go play some poker. I play a poker tournament, register at the last minute, no chips, no nothing. And I don't even care. I'm just like, all in, run the stack up, make day 2. We end up getting down to 7 of us out of 888 people. I think first was like 20 grand. We all decided to chop it. We've been playing. So I chop. I had like third in chips, but it was like actual no room to play. So I win 9,800. And then I take more money and I go back to them and they moved the odds on me because of my bet. So they went from 50 to 1 to 40 to 1 and they only let me bet 200 and then they pulled the bet. I'm like, well, can I get 30 to 1? It's like, no, they took the bet off the books. So I go to all the other casinos. Yes. So I go to all the other casinos. I figure out the odds. Some people aren't even letting you bet the division. It's too early. MGM gave me 200 to 1 to win the World Series, 80 to 1 to make the World Series. And then, so that was like Saturday. And then Tuesday on the way out, I placed a football bet. And I was like, can I get another 100 on the 40 to 1 on the Royals to win the division? And the guy didn't even question it, take it to the back. Like, yeah, here you go. And I'm like, yes.
See you later.
If they would have won the division, I would have won 22 grand. They didn't. If they make it to the World Series, I would have won 32, but I cashed out on 6 of it. So now if they make the World Series, I win 6 grand or 26 grand. If they win the World Series, I win 66,000.
Let's go.
Oh shit.
Please, Royals. And they
send the energy.
I mean, damn, I'm still rooting for the Padres, but they got a lot of money on the line.
Well, it's okay. The Padres can win it. If the Royals just make the World Series and play the Padres,
yeah.
I still win some substantial amount
Big,
of money.
baby. Yeah.
And they were winning the Yankee game. They kept winning. They're up 1. They kind of got a bad call and lost by 1 run, but they're playing the Yankees today. So I'm go Royals, please.
Go Royals. All right.
One time.
Go Royals. That'd be great to hit on that. Dude, yeah, I've been having fun with the little prize picks. It's like it's fantasy games, but I mean, it's just like, you're right. California's weird. You can't bet on like an individual player's performance or games. You got to go to Nevada, but prize picks like found a way around it through fantasy. So you like have to select multiple players from different teams but it's the same thing. It's like all player prop type stuff, I've been having a lot of fun with that. Doing decent last couple of days.
Yeah. I've seen that. With these sites, like, it's usually like, if there's a will, there's a way. I've been, poker's been banned online for sometimes. but somehow I've been gambling on the site from 2008, Bovada. So like, I can still bet sports on there, but sometimes don't have the best odds, but they have never not paid. And I've always been able to play poker on them. So I'm pretty sure they're not in the States. I don't condone betting.
Yeah.
Don't go there. Don't gamble. You didn't hear from me.
Yeah.
It's not financial advice by any means.
No, definitely not.
Raney, when did you start gambling?
Oh.
Well, how did this start, dude?
I every year I'd go see my student psychologist. So I was 8 years old, and they're doing the standard ink block test where they're like, what does this look like? What's this look like? They're going to this. And they're like, they ask me about probabilities. And I start breaking out, well, you got a parlay, and a parlay is 6 to 1, and you got to bet these 3 teams. And then this is the thing. And the guy's like,
how did you know that?
Kid,
yeah.
He's like, how do you know this? I was like, oh yeah, I gave my dad $20 and he placed a 3-game parlay on these football games and I won 120. I'm
Let's go.
Yeah, because I'd grab my dad in the car and he's listening to sports radio and and these guys are talking. And then I'm like, Dad, these 3 teams are going to win. They're saying it. I'm like, they're right. They've been winning. And he's like, no, they're not going to win. I'm like, yeah, they are. He's like, no, they're not. I'm like, guarantee you they are. He's like, all right, I'll teach you a lesson. Here, give me your $20. $20 as a kid. That's all.
Oh, that's big.
He goes down there. He places the bet. Boom, 120. Magic.
Bam.
I was like, no. I just made money. And my dad's like, oh no. So, but he's okay because he gambled all the time. But then the student psychologist calls my mom and it was like, do you know that he bet on a football game? She ripped into my dad. She's like, what are you doing? Because my scores. Literally, I was doing well in the test, and the moment they talked about it, it all dropped. I couldn't focus on anything else. Anything they talked about, I was just my mind was still talking parlays, and he's asking me what do you see in this picture? I'm like, that's not what we were talking about. Let's go back to what we were talking about. Yeah, so I think ruined ever since. Watched James Bond all the time as a kid. It's always had a fascination for poker.
Well, all of these things will help you on the paintball field. So it does what it needs to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, luckily, I gamble the way I like to gamble is in the stock market. It's a lot safer and easier and
more sophisticated.
Yes, but it still has the same premises where you have to question the key thing is question your emotions or question your decisions. So why did you make that decision? Was it an emotional decision? Okay, so you made an emotional decision. Why did you make an emotional decision? What were you thinking? I had fear. Yeah. I had FOMO. Okay, so how do I overcome this next time? Well, I didn't want to buy because it's going down. So next time when I feel this, maybe I should buy when I don't want to buy. And when I want more, maybe I should sell and take profit. Right? So as long as you're honest with yourself, back to how we were talking about accountability, right? Instead, for a while, even when I played poker, I was like, I got unlucky. They got lucky, and it's no, maybe
take
not
the
one
emotion
hand.
out. Yeah.
But what about the other 90 hands that you pissed away? What happened to the rest of your chips?
And this all goes into paintball too, man. It it plays its hand right into the game that we play too.
You can't control what you can't control, right? But you can control certain other things. So it's go back and be honest with yourself about what you did, right? If you focus on the things you can't control, then you're never going to get better. If you only focus on the things that you can control, right, and you don't let the outside factors affect you, then you'll be great, right? And in poker, people have this saying, it's easy to play well when you're getting good cards, but can you play your A game when you just took a 2% beat? You're a 98% with one card to come, and that card came. Are you done? You folded, right? You got to be able to take that moment, understand, I still have chips. I'm still in this. I can turn this around. I'll cry about it later when I lose, if I lose. But you can't give up. You can't be down 3-0 in a match and got a major and just be coming in the pit and just MFing everyone and screaming. It's all right, this is an opportunity for me to shine. This is an opportunity for us to come back, right? There was a match on Impact where we were down 6 to 1. One more point. That's what is that, 5? Yeah, we're 6 to 1 against the Russians, and they're in both 50s, crossing it up, and we're down a body. It did not look good, but we never folded, we never gave up, and we ended up coming back and beating them 7 to 6. And it's those guys on that team, we never ever had a moment where we're like, this is it. It's like, let's just we'll analyze our mistakes later, but like, what do we have to do to win? Right. And so I think that's what's helped me in the stock market now. Sometimes I don't like, I have a high risk tolerance, so it's okay to take a big swing, but I don't let an emotional decision or something, like when it dips, I don't get upset when something's dipping. I see opportunity. The only thing I do is when it goes up, I go, I should have bought more. That's great. So even with this last play I have going today, I have SoFi, these options. I basically gave myself 2 months. It keeps going between like $8. So like when it went to like 7, I buy it to go above 8. The next day it went above 8. So I could be greedy, or I could sell off like 6 of my 10 contracts, get all my money back and make 5 or 6%. It's not the sexy play and it's not the greedy play, but I'm like, I get all my money. So I took all my money back, and now I've been slowly exiting out of the other 4. And it did dip. It dipped like 2 days later. I wouldn't have been in the green. So I got my money, and now it's back in the green, and I'm taking the profit, and I'm rolling with one to be greedy. Right?
Have some fun. Yeah.
It's always good to leave a runner, and you always want to be playing with house money.
And Grayson said this: you don't go broke when you take profits. You can't go broke when you take profits.
Dude. For sure.
Shout out to Grayson Goff.
Yeah, Grayson.
Yeah.
Lord.
The Godfather.
Yeah. This is not financial advice.
No, but I will call him and be like, what is the play? And he'll be like, you should do this. And I'm like, ooh, you're right. That is the play. Good call. Good call.
He's such a good dude, man. Such a great guy.
And that's the best thing about paintball is you have this community full of such highly intelligent individuals. On Friday, I was trying to figure out what's my move in this sports bet, because I was going to cash out on some of the bet and then bet it on the Yankees, but I wasn't getting good odds. And so I talked to Danny Park, who's also a gambler, maybe for an hour and a half on the way to the field on Thursday. I was Thursday, driving the field to do drills. And I was like, what do I do here? And he's like, just take the 840, sit on the 840. If the Royals beat the Yankees, then place that bet on the other team. It'll probably be closer to even money bet. And then if that loses, then you're in the World Series and you're making money. So it's like, all right, I called him, and then I had I'm buying a sports card, and I was like, what's my play here? How do I do this? Which I do, like I'm trying to do it outside eBay. And so I called Joey. I'm like, Joey, as my financial advisor, what do I do right now? And he's like, this is what you should do. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the move. That makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
What sports card you buying?
Fernando Tatis Jr. rookie card, 1 of 1, super fractor. So there's only 1 of them. And I bought one this year. I bought a Bobby Witt Jr. I was like, God, there's a show called The Collector on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
It's got Ken Golding, Auction House, dude. So I don't have Netflix. I deleted it. I try not to watch that because that show made me buy stuff last year. So I'm on the way to Tampa for the 3 weekends out before Chicago out. I binge watch the whole series. I pull up my hour free on T-Mobile on the internet, get on eBay. I go down figure out the right way to search it. I get a Bobby Witt Jr. like low serial number rookie card because I wanted one. I'm like, he's I've been following him a whole year. So I buy one out of 91.9. That same guy that's selling it, he's selling it out of 50. So I bargain this guy down. Before I land, I've already spent $350. I'm like, all right, well, that was great. Cool, we're done. I get home Monday and I look up like how many other versions of this card there are, and I see the 1 of 1, and the guy's selling it for $3,000. So I put in a low ball for like $1,500. Should have started lower. And most people just automatically deny unless it's like 90% of what it is. And then I'm like looking up the recent sales after I put the bid in, and I'm like, oh, the card's sold. Who bought it? Oh, I bought it. Oh man, I bought the card. I was like, all right, at least I'm committed. So then I bought the 5 of 5. I bought the 1 out of 2. Luckily, there wasn't a lot of different versions of it, but I bought the whole like rainbow set of every different version of that. I'm like, well, that escalated real quick.
That's
and
great.
Now I found the Fernando one that I have a few of, and the guy was like selling it for $3,000. I lowballed him for $1,000. He's like, didn't even counter offer. He's like, no. And then I was like, $1,500. He's like, $2,500. And I'm like, with taxes and fees, he wants $2,000, right? If it's $2,500, it's going to cost me another $7,000, like, or an extra $200. So I was like, would you take he had his Instagram on his eBay profile. So I find him on Instagram. I messaged him, would you take $2,000 cash? He's like, yes. And I'm like, you live in California or maybe in Florida? No. He's like, I live in Indiana. And I was like, oh man, like, how do I do this? He's like, well, we could do PayPal goods and services. And I'm like, look, you're not sending me the card, and I'm not sending you cash. Just in good faith. Like I already know that. And I look the person up. He doesn't, doesn't look sketchy. He's a fan, man. He looks, but that's how they get you. So I'm like,
Yeah.
What's the move, Joey? Joey's like, why don't you just fly there? And I'm like, well, that could be expensive. Like, use miles. So I look it up, a ticket for miles, not that many miles. So I have a flight tomorrow to fly to Indiana, land for an hour and 45, meet this person, buy the card, and then fly back to San Diego before the game. And I'll watch the game on the way back. So yeah, and Fernando went off last night. I think his stuff's undervalued right now, so I think it's a good play. And if they do well in the playoffs, I may immediately put it back up on the eBay because people will make emotional buys,
Without a doubt.
I think I can easily just flip that. And if not, I'm okay holding on to it for a hot minute.
You do have one of these 10 out of 10 mint special play the game trading cards, right?
I do have one. Remember that? You guys are like, all right, you want one? I'm like, no. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, all right, give me one. And then I was like, sign it. Like, we'll put it in the case. I'm like, don't touch it, Tyler. What do you mean? I'm like, I got it, dog. I was like, it doesn't mean I'm like, it's okay.
It was so
It's
funny.
one of those times where we were in the moment. Who knows? 10 years, 20 years. You look back and you're like, oh, I'm glad you got one of those.
Yep. 100%.
Dude, the trading card market is actually extremely hot. There's a lot of opportunity in there. Depending on, there's a myriad of things that you could dive into when it comes to the trading card market. But lots of opportunity for sure. Once again, this is not financial advice, just a bunch of friends having some fun on a show. But it's very interesting, to say the least, the different types of ways that you can provide for yourself in creative ways.
Yeah. So I bought Ohtani stuff last year when he was hurt. He hurt his arm. I'm like, he ain't going anywhere. Everyone panicked, right? Oh, he's not doing anything. And I'm like, all right, it's the time to buy. So I bought some cards, not expensive ones, but rookie ones, but a lot of nothing serial numbered. And now all that stuff is 2, 3-fold. Like, any day on eBay, there's 5. Like, I think on a Friday I saw there's 4,500 PSA 10s, like perfectly graded cards of his being sold. I almost bought one, a very expensive one the other day, and but I would have had to sell a lot of my stock to buy it. Mm-hmm. And the next week, that card, or 6 weeks later, I see that exact same card, higher serial number, being sold for 2.5 times its price, and I'm like,
oh man.
Oh,
yeah.
Double up.
Here's the thing: to get max value, let's just say whatever you pay for it, you have to start the auction off at 99 cents. So if you bought a $10,000 card, you don't want to start it off at $5,000 or $10,000 because nobody gets invested. You got to kind of put the carrot in front of them and
drive it.
Yeah. And so this dude started it off at 99 cents, and the card ran all the way up to 46,000.
What?
And this dude was selling one just like it, but better, for 25 or best offer. And somebody bought it. They bought it, but that card, I think you could immediately turned around and at least got what that guy got.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. But you're taking a gamble. You're starting a $25,000 off card with 99 cents.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's scary. I don't like that. Yeah. Like, what if the right people just don't see it,
I'll tell you what, you'll feel alive that day. That's for sure.
You'll feel alive.
Ultimate sweat.
Damn sure.
Oh, that's the ultimate sweat for sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It is interesting. There are so many different creative ways to make money. And that's actually what's really cool. And you are right, in paintball, there's so much to learn from all the different characters, because everyone does have these outside jobs or professions or other expertise. And so we have a great community in that sense where, if you're into and you can learn a ton basically about whatever you want. There's one of those experts in paintball.
Yeah. Talking to Bart this last week, and I would always give him huge kudos. Like, I acquired a lot of knowledge from that man. I mean, he was successful in almost everything he's done and has done and continues to do. And there's things that he did that I took from him and immediately added it into my daily life or how I approached paintball. And it's, not even playing the game, just little things that, I don't even want to say it just to rob him of what he did, that's, so yeah, it was crazy. I was giving kudos. So, I was like, Bart, I'm a better man for being around you.
That's the gifts of the game.
Fantastic.
Yeah, those are the gifts right there. And we actually have some gifts for you, Raney, from the Discord. The PTG members have showed out. They're stoked that you're with us here, and we got some questions. March, I don't know if you already have one picked out that you want to dive into.
Yeah.
First of all,
I'll hop into this.
Nick says, "Love that guy, Sloviak." So he's
Yes.
in the chat here. We got Bree. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's go.
Yes, sir. All right, Papa Sosh. Raney, how underrated is hiding as a skill in paintball?
If
Great question.
you don't, it's like it's the Royals just beat the Yankees, or they beat the Baltimore 2-1 and 1-0. If they don't score, it's gonna be really hard for them to beat you. If you don't die, how do you lose if you don't die? Like,
how do you lose?
How do you lose? You're not dying.
You
Maybe you're not shooting a lot of people, right? But if you don't die, you're not gonna lose. And I so like when everybody else is doing this, and you're the only few people doing this, then it's gonna work. If everybody's doing this, and then you're the only one doing that, then it's gonna work. So sometimes just going against what everyone else is doing will help you win. You may lose because you're not doing what everyone else is doing, but like if 18 people are all doing the same thing, it's gonna be way harder to beat them with that strategy, simply because you have to be the best of 18. But if you do something else and there's only 2 people doing it, and that's what works, you only got to be better than that other person, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes thinking outside the box helps. And I think on this last layout, like I would watch the games play, and I'd watch people make moves and just throw their bodies away. And I was like, man, if you can just shoot one guy off the break every once in a while and stay alive and talk to your guys and just make everyone around you a little bit better, right? That's huge, right? And
yeah,
the motto is here's a free one for everyone out there watching. In Woods Ball, when people are like, what do we do? I'm like, when in doubt, hide, right? The Russians, when in doubt, attack. And they're not wrong. Neither one is wrong, but you got to just sometimes use one at one time and one at the other. And in this last layout, like I think the when in doubt, hide for me worked in that particular role.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah,
did.
Yeah, we saw a lot, like we talked about earlier, leaving that home, and then you said, "Okay, I'm not going to give the free one. I'm staying here."
Yeah, and I mean, I would get out when we'd lose 2 bodies. Like if we lost both our bodies on the snake, the Dorito side didn't happen as often, and it wasn't. As long as you had one on the Dorito side, you didn't really have to get out as much. Mm-hmm. But if you lost 1 or 2 bodies on the snake side, like he's coming down the snake, the game's over in 20, 30 seconds, it's over. So yes, you roll the dice, you roll the whatever the percentages on the game says, you roll the dice, right? But if you had everybody alive, and there was nowhere really to go, then just play your role and don't just give up a free kill,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, we got Clint Riddle. Raney, will you be participating in the one-on-one Hormesis Elite Pro Invitational in Thailand? For that matter, same question for Tyler and Marcelo. I'm definitely down. I haven't heard anything from the guys, but it sounds like fun.
I mean, they first asked me, and at first I'm like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to lose. And then I was like, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, how often do you get invited to go to Thailand to do this trip?
Think about the crew we would have, the crew that would be out there.
Dude, that's the whole reason I was going. Yeah. I was like, I don't even I want to win, whatever. But I was like, if I lose to Tyler, cool. Like I lose to Marcelo, cool. I lose to Mouse, whatever. Like I just want to go. I don't know if it will play out. It seems like it's getting closer and closer to the deadline, and none of us have a flight or a ticket. But I was like, I'm not going to be the reason that I'm not going. So I said, I'll go. I'm not a fan of, I don't think I'll be as successful in that style of one-on-ones. It's really close. You're going over the top. You're doing this. And my game's sneaky and reading and doing this. And it eliminates a lot of that. So like when I was watching, I was at the last one-on-one, and these, bunch of young, hungry guys, me and Mouse were joking. I'm like, I think these guys would beat us in a lot of this format. Like these dudes are beasts. Now you put me in the woods, I'm going to get behind them, grab their flag, and hang it before they even know it happened. Right. But when it's close to close hand-to-hand combat, I'm like, this is 50-50, at best.
Mm-hmm.
So
it looks fun. See. It's definitely, it's an entertaining thing to watch as well. And I'm curious to see how it all plays out. We'll see soon here.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. All right. Smokey wants to know, Raney, who would be your 5 in a fantasy draft? Can't be anyone from Damage, Tyler, or Marcelo.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot to that. Like, who do I think the best are right now? Because I mean, you got to like Malloy's crushing it. Axel, like he's the second man, right? Like he's lost at Malloy multiple times. They finally got over the hurdle and they lost to us. I mean, he's been on fire this year. J-Rab's been on fire this year. But you know, one speaks French, one speaks Russian. I mean, they just speak English, right? So there's like,
yeah, we're talking fantasy team though, so it's about how they produce in an event. So they don't necessarily have to be the best team,
and
right?
On their teams, you also have to think, are they going to make it to the next round? Okay, well then those two dudes, hands down.
Okay. Axel Malloy,
they're going to crush. A-Rod. He's going up there. He's gonna get you some points.
Yeah. He's getting kills.
So those are three. And I probably have to balance it out and not get somebody that's going to cost a lot of points, because Axel, probably a lot of points. Malloy, probably a lot of points. A-Rod, probably a lot of points. So you got to think outside the box. Who's done well that maybe probably doesn't cost a lot of points? And I want someone off X Factor. So I probably, for my low point guy, probably take Tim Stetzel.
I knew you were going to say him. Nice. I like that.
You knew where it's going, right? You knew where it's going.
Yeah, 100%.
He played well last event. So like maybe he's a value pick that I get in there and he's going to put up a lot of points. And then I got to get Mouse. Mouse is going to go out there and produce.
Got to get Mouse.
Are they going to, how are they, their team's not doing well. So are they going to get, is it only the prelims, is it the quarterfinals, the semis? Like,
yeah.
But even then, when they played X Factor and they played Impact, they still only lost 1 point games, and he went down the field and he put up a lot of good numbers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with that crew. That's for sure.
No.
That's a squad right there. All right. So we have Malloy, Axel, Tim Stetzel, Mouse, and A-Rod. That is Raney's Fantasy 5.
Send them out there.
5. It's like a boy band.
Baby.
Essentially,
all right,
what
let's see.
teams are.
Nice.
Yeah. Young Stevie's wondering, Raney, player or banker?
Oh man, you just talking gambling. Well, you want to be the banker because the banker's got better odds. You just got.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
You just got to, cap the max bet, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
You just don't want to get hit too hard.
That's the next bet.
Yeah.
All right. Mark Paris, Raney, do you have a strategy or process you use to maintain mental clarity in high stress situations like gambling or paintball that you can share? That's a good question.
Just
Mark
read.
Paris.
Just
also,
read.
he said a little background on the question. He's got a book called Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Helped him tremendously when he struggled with monetary risk and trading options.
Options are risky, so I don't do a lot of options. And so when I first started trading, I didn't do any options. And I didn't have any margin in my account because I knew better. I wanted to learn it. So all my stuff was just commons and long-term stuff. And I had a very successful year. Options, I will do a fraction of what I would put into these long-term plays, right? Because I'm good at making a good decision, right? And sometimes you can make the correct decision, but not execute it correctly in options. So options are, a $500, $1,000, like I'm capping it. I'm not going all in, but I have no problem going all in on a stock like Tesla or Rolls Royce and just everything I got, all my eggs in one basket. It's risky. And people always say, you want to be diverse, but if you talk to Warren Buffett, you're better off to focus all your things on one decision, right? But back to the question about being calm, because Oliver used to say this, right, when I was young, and when I'd be playing with him, and he'd be like, just breathe after a good point. I might be, shut up. Like, of course I'm breathing. What do you mean breathe, dude? Like, you didn't give me anything after that. I'm like, yeah. And then you go out there and maybe you rush and die. And it's like on the way to World Cup in 2020, the COVID Cup, where we played you guys in the finals. Yeah. I felt like I played really well. And one of my biggest things, like I was eating healthy, doing all these things correctly, but I was listening to the podcast about breathing, right? And it's like being calm in a situation where everybody else isn't calm is like a superpower. Mm-hmm. Right? You're not letting your emotions get the best of you. So if you just focus on like the simplest thing, something you always do as a human, just breathe, right? You get to your spot. I just shot a guy, just breathe. Now I'm like, okay, I'm breathing. I'm not immediately just letting my adrenaline take over and go to the next gunfight. I'm stopping what I'm doing. I'm having a conversation with myself, but just saying, just breathe. It's now starting the processes of everything else. And now I can communicate that I shot a guy. Blood, oxygen to the blood and everything else will make you think better. There's actually like science behind it. But just being in a situation, take your time and breathe, right? You're slowing everything down, right? And if you can slow things down when things are going fast, you'll make a better decision. You won't always make the correct one, but you'll make a better decision. And it's just like, same thing, like I said, with stocks. If you just kind of be calm and ask yourself why you're making this decision, right? Then maybe you won't make an emotional decision.
Sound.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
Right. We got Osborne for this. Raney, pick one bunker from the current kit to remove and replace it with a bunker type of your choice.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, that's tough. I mean, I do not like Doritos. I'm sorry. I don't like the Doritos.
There's a lot of angle on those things.
Yeah. So I'd remove all the Doritos.
Shit.
Okay. Bye, Dorito players. Good luck. Okay.
Yo.
And then what are we bringing back in there? I'm bringing in a door, a square, tall.
The doors.
There you go. You're gonna be on the doors, not the Doritos. The doors.
The door side.
Welcome to the world of perception over there.
That's great.
Yeah, 100%.
You can lay them down too. You go upside.
Yeah. You can get creative with it. We could even maybe lean some, make a tunnel or something.
There you go.
Get crazy with it.
All right. My last question from the Discord is from PB the Kaizen. Raney, you've been around the neighborhood and can speak to many formats. Are there any changes to scoring, bracket play, wildcards, or Sundays that you would like to see implemented?
That's tough. I mean, obviously, like the split deck, that's a common, conversation we have. Scoring, I don't mind. I mean, I would like to get rid of the mercy, but you need it because otherwise it's like it gets out of hand. You have 14-2. Yeah, I don't know. I think about this when I was listening to your guys' podcast on the way back from San Luis Obispo, your Slovakia one. Shout out to Nick. I was listening to the Nick's one.
Nice.
I went back and listened to that one. I listened to the Todd Adamson one because those are the ones I hadn't listened to. So I went back and listened to those, and I was like, we got so many smart dudes. How are we not solving this? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I was listening to you about like how do you get people to move the shot clock? Like, how do you eliminate it? And it's like, man, it's tough. Like I think we're trying to, again, we keep trying to solve our game to make it better by like changing the game. And it's like, what if if we just think about it like this, there is no simple solution to the game that will be changed that will make it explode. It's maybe how we portray it, how we view it, how we get on a TV show, and like that story, right? If we can do that and keep focusing on that, because that's the thing you always hear Maddie say and this say and that and this person say. But then we go back and we trying to change the speed of the game or this of the game, and it's like, for that show, right? The last show they did on ESPN, it was cool to be on there, right? But it was too much to cover at once. You're covering the points, you're covering this. Honestly, who I would have if they would have gave us 30 minutes on J-Rab, right? Like you saw the footage of him coming over the top and shooting, and like that looked so cool. Like, and you gave maybe 5 to 6 minutes of gameplay, but you talked about how he, he's on Diesel. It didn't go well. Then he came to this team. He came back to the Red Legion, and there's a language barrier, and maybe it showed him talking in the pit, and now maybe he got a little frustrated with this person, and now it cuts to a 3-minute little drama of him talking about, why he's upset with this person. Like that translates to everyone, right? Like I love paintball. I love watching paintball, but sometimes it's hard to watch. And sometimes what I enjoy is like, if I'm watching stuff from Verbal or anybody else, like these lower division stuff on YouTube, like I don't really want to watch the game that they're playing. No offense. I like maybe someone want to watch mine. I want to see what they're doing outside it. What's the games they're playing at night? What are they doing here? Where are they going to eat? Who are they messing with? I want the characters, right?
You want the lifestyle.
So focus on that. Like,
yeah,
we got to like, it doesn't matter. 10-man, 7-man, 3-man, 1-on-1s, 5-on-5, whatever. It's all the same.
Totally.
And it isn't, but it is all the same. Focus on the person, the characters, and the lifestyle. And I think that's what will make our game attractive to everybody out there.
Well said. Yep. Let's go.
100%, Raney. Yeah, we obviously talk about that on the show often. Of course, there could always be tweaks. That's why other sports, baseball and basketball, they try to make these little changes each year as well to make the game a little better, a little more exciting. So certainly we can do that. But yes, it's the lifestyle. It's like the stuff that made you, Tyler, myself fall in love with the game, the ability to travel, the experiences that we have. They're experiences that money literally cannot buy, so let's do a better job of telling those stories. Like my situation this year with the Lucky 15s, going out to England a week early to coach them, and then, travel all over Europe to coach them in tournaments. Like that's a pretty cool story that I think anyone would relate to and be like, oh man, that actually does seem like a sick gig. If you become really good at this thing, you could have those kind of opportunities. That's insane.
Here's an example. Look at your guys' show.
Yeah.
You don't show any paintball. It's just people talking. Like, no, dude, this show is successful, and this is like huge, and people can't get enough of it. The pros can't, the divisionals, everybody watches your show and consumes your show. And it's like, this is what we should see. This is where we should go with, like, all we are setting up some cameras and talking. And it's like, man, what if we got, deeper with it? What if, you followed Tyler around for the 2 weeks before the event, you had a mic up at the event, you filmed him, you got 2 minutes of Go Sports. Like, man, I would watch that. You gave me that show every Tuesday. I tune in a heartbeat, right? 100%. There's 200 personalities in paintball, and they are all different. And it's like, there are so many stories that could be told that if we just like rolled the dice, pick the name, this is who we're going with, let's do it. As much as somebody doesn't want to do it, like is what we got to get people to fall in love with, is one person. Like whoever that is, whoever we vote to think that's the best person, put that person in there, and then that's the guy that's going to blow up paintball,
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, because the game, I mean, anybody who plays this game, they know how much fun it is. And I really like what you said about, I don't know that it's so much the format thing that, you change this one thing or this thing and it's magically just going to be, bam, this is it. It's going, it's taken off to the moon. I think that we really got to double down on just highlighting the characters and the amazing people. There's so many of them in our industry. So we really got to highlight that moving forward. I think that's the big frontier of the future for paintball here.
100%, right? With live streaming and all this stuff, like, and how much easier it is to mic someone up and hear them and talk. Like, I like that they mic'd us up during the event. I wish I would have been better with my words, right? I maybe swear too much in the trenches.
It happens out there.
I'm a little more intelligent. Yeah. And I'm talking to myself, like MFing myself coming off the field for losing something. And then I'm like, after the game, like, I was mic'd up. That didn't sound smart. I didn't like that. But like, if we have everyone mic'd up, like you're gonna find characters and great conversations and a little bit of drama that people can elaborate on, and the viewers will tell you like, I want to follow this person. This is the guy we want to consume.
Totally.
Yeah, or let them maybe a platform where they can go on board with that player, and be like, oh, I'm going to toggle over to him right now and see, oh, this is what they're talking about. This is how they're moving. I'm going to go over here and check out this player. But I think as we move into the future, those types of technologies will become even more readily available and easier to implement into our system, and we'll see some pretty cool stuff start to happen out of that. I have one last personal question. Just want to know, what advice would you give to, the younger generation coming up in the game, to move up the ranks or, make this paintball dream happen for them?
Ooh, that's tough. Like really enjoy the process. Like I hear some people like, I want to get here. I want to be semi-pro by this year. I want to be this by that. And it's like, man, like if you don't enjoy it, like if you just try, that's your goal, if you're not going to succeed, right? If you enjoy just any style of paintball, you enjoy walk-ons, you enjoy 10-man, you enjoy one-on-ones, you enjoy this, you enjoy getting the field early, then you'll get there. Don't set a goal, don't set a time frame, because it's just like it's just not how it works. Make it this organic thing. Enjoy the ride to the top, right? Like we have a couple young guys, and I'm like, you can play Premier, but I'm like, what's the rush? Why not just move up one division? and learn a little bit and get a little better and work on these things and then play with these people that you played with before. And, you know, like that may be a better experience for you in the long haul. Cause like, even for the wrecking crew guys, like they're going to get on a pro team and they're going to be like, you know, we're going to win. And like them winning together wouldn't be the same as them winning with me. You know, that's number 47 or whatever, you know, whatever it is, 26. It's not as magical, but if they all grind together and then they win that first one together and they break through and they win a pro tournament in 2 years, who's won a pro tournament that's been outside the bubble of us? Nobody, right? And so like when X Factor came in and they got second and then they won, like that was the huge, most memorable win they've ever. And so like if you enjoy the process, like then you'll get way more out of it than just focusing on these like mental, like these ego goals of like, I want to be pro and I want this and I want to be the guy in the video. Like, yeah, everybody has those thoughts, but focus on having fun and enjoying the process.
It's the best advice, man. Really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Rain Man, thank you, dude. We appreciate you joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on PTG. It was a fun weekend. Glad we got to hang out.
Yeah, I know you messaged us yesterday. I'm like, I was like, oh, I'm hurting right now. This is gonna be rough. I'm still recovering, but man, I love you guys. You guys, man, love you too, this platform, like it's phenomenal. You know, like I'm so glad you guys do this, and it just makes our game that much better and that much more important, and just shows how much everybody cares and how much you guys care and how much time you guys put into it. And without it, our game wouldn't be the same.
Well, we love this game, bro, and sending that love right back at you. And we actually have Riley Hawk, Tony Hawk's son, is going to be on the show next week, so that'll be a really fun one.
What? And, how'd that happen? How'd you pull that off?
I find out people play paintball, and I'm getting in the message.
Ty slides in the DMs.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, and he actually, it was through, God, it was one of our members. Oh, Chris Tucker. Was it Chris Tucker or? I don't know. It was one of our members as well said, Riley plays paintball. And then I started looking into it. I don't know if it was Chris, but man, I'm really fumbling on the member. I'm so sorry about that. But thank you. Please help me remember who it was so that I can give them their due credit.
They'll let us know.
They helped me to just get in connection. And then, he loves paintball. He loves jujitsu. He rides BMX. He does like races. He's just like an extreme sports fanatic. So it'll be fun to pick his brain on everything.
Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear that one.
Yeah. And Raney, dude, thank you for everything that you do in the game as well, man. Like not only, you tune into our show, you support us, you help us on our mission. You always are down to hop on when we're at the Dub Cs or just, like right now you've been like a really amazing person in paintball, and not just recently, but over the entirety of your career. So thank you as well for like continuously going to bat for this game the way that you do.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Let's keep it up, and then we'll see you all on episode 271. This is 270, and we'll see y'all soon. Peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link in the corner, and support the show. We greatly appreciate it. We have tiers as low as $1.99 a month. That is nothing, guys, and it'll give you access to the Discord, where you get access to the players chat and get to mingle with the entire PTG community. We have tons of different pros in there. Tyler and myself are very active, and it's an amazing way to support the show. We also have amazing other tiers. If you want to be one of the best, want to be a GOAT, sign up for the GOAT tier. It's the greatest way to support us, and each month we do a private live stream show, one-on-one kind of thing, to where it's just the GOATs, and Tyler and myself will bring in some special guests every now and then, but you get to ask us questions in real time, live on the air, and you get lots of inside juicy news that we don't share on the show. So, as always, we will see you guys very soon.